Alright, it's a weekend, and I've got some free time to play some video games. Good thing, because I just got Conker's Bad Fur Day on the N64. Let's pop this bad boy in. Weird, it must be dirty or something. That'll work for sure. Come on. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to clean it. Okay, Mike. Keep calm. No need to panic. Just clean it again. It must have been a little dirtier than you thought. Keep it nice and even keeled. No need to freak out. Alright, one more try. It's not working. Oh my god. Oh my god, please work, please work, please work. Oh my god, this is the worst possible thing that could ever happen to me. Alright, let's go find some games. Okay, well, maybe not the worst, but this still sucks on so many levels. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Game Pickups from the New Adventure Island, where I show you all the amazing games I've picked up outside of the games I'm collecting for the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. I've picked up some great things this month, some amazing games and some cool items. I can't wait to show you what I got. First of which is something I've been looking for an extremely long time. I don't know if I've told you this, but I'm also a box system collector, and I have a pretty cool collection. But one system I didn't have complete in box was a box Model 1 Genesis. Well, just recently, Netherworld Collectibles got a box Model 1 Genesis in, and I was lucky enough to get it. Of course, I didn't get the box Model 1 Genesis right away. The good people at Netherworld Collectibles, especially their owner, wouldn't sell it to me right away. I had to wait for about 4 to 5 months for him to finally let this go, because he was actually trying to get a complete system. It wasn't exactly complete when he got it. Of course, this is the Model 1 Genesis that comes with Sonic the Hedgehog. I would have rather preferred to have the Ultra Beast model, but hey, you know, beggars can't be choosers. There's not much here in Newfoundland. So this is a very cool version of the system. Especially inside. I'm so happy that I waited to get this because he actually completed it. Everything's inside. The manual, the bags, even the not-for-resale copy of Sonic the Hedgehog. This system is just incredible. I am so excited to finally add a Model 1 box Genesis to my collection. It's beautiful. So of course, after I added the Model 1 Genesis to my collection, I was so excited I had to go pick up some great Genesis games. Luckily, I found a couple at Netherworld Collectibles and one here locally that I'm really excited about. First one I found at Netherworld Collectibles didn't have a case, which really bothers me. I hate buying Genesis games without cases. But sometimes, if you see a really good deal for a game you never see, you gotta pick it up. And I picked up Golden Axe 2. Anybody who knows me know that I love the original Golden Axe. In fact, it was actually included in my top 10 Genesis games. And Golden Axe 2 is very, very similar, of course, to Golden Axe 1. I actually still prefer the first one a little bit better, but Golden Axe 2 is still a beautiful game. And the very first night I took it home, I played it all night, finished it multiple times. Golden Axe 2 is your typical side-scrolling 2D, 3D beat-em-up game. Very fun. Anybody who's never played a Golden Axe game, you're doing yourself a grave injustice. Next up is a game I'm not necessarily in love with, but anybody who had a Genesis had to pick this game up at the time because it's one of the most popular movies at the time as well, and that's Jurassic Park on the Sega Genesis. Like I said, Jurassic Park isn't necessarily a fantastic game, but for what it is pretty fun. Do I like it as much as the NES and Super NES versions of Jurassic Park? I don't know, but it's a completely different version. So if you've played those other versions and you're looking for a different experience, this is a 2D platformer, kind of in the vein of Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure. So anyways, it's a pretty cool game, and for $5, hey, I couldn't not add it to my collection. And the last Genesis game I've added this month is just fantastic. I am so excited to finally have this game in my collection. It's amazing. And that is Gunstar Heroes on the Sega Genesis. Oh yeah! Gunstar Heroes is a side-scrolling action platformer in the vein of Contra and the Metal Slug series on the Neo Geo. But it is absolutely beautiful. On the Genesis, it pushes the system to its limits. The graphics, the colors, the sound, the gameplay itself is just fantastic. It's an expensive game, so obviously don't go out and pay full price for it, but if you can find a copy for relatively cheap, at least a good percentage below what eBay has, this is a game you should definitely pick up. If you're at a flea market, you see Gunstar Heroes, grab it. Trust me, it's amazing. Next up is a couple games actually for the Sega Dreamcast. I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't really been playing my Dreamcast much in the last little while, or collecting for it, but when something really cool comes up, you gotta grab it. The first game is a game I actually had originally with my Dreamcast, but I shared my Dreamcast with my brother, and he took this game, lost the case. We just recently found the loose disc and it scratched to pieces, so I had to replace it. And to be honest, I've already replaced it once and got a greatest hits copy, but I had to get the original copy back. And that is Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast. Sonic Adventure was actually the first game I had on the Dreamcast, and I've absolutely played the heck out of it. I absolutely love this game. It is so much fun. Is it perfect for the first attempt at a 3D Sonic platformer? No, it's not. But it's a lot of fun. On top of that, there's some really cool visuals early on. In the very first stage, when you're running along the bridge and the killer whales are jumping behind you. I mean, it was that one scene in the snapshots for the game that sold me on getting the system alone. The cool thing about this version, actually, too, is I didn't realize it until I got it, but this is actually a 2-disc. So not only did I get Sonic Adventure, but I also got Sonic Adventure 2 The Trial, so that's a cool demo disc to be added in, and one I've never seen included in a Sonic Adventure package before. Next up is a role-playing game for the Dreamcast that I've wanted for an extremely long time. I have another port for the PlayStation 2, which is really subpar compared to the Dreamcast original, and I'm so excited I finally added it to my collection. That is Grandia 2. Grandia 2 is a really fun turn-based Japanese RPG made by Ubisoft and Game Arts. I haven't played a lot of Grandia 2 because basically I just got the Dreamcast version, but I can tell you from the early time of me playing it, it definitely is a lot better than the PlayStation 2 version of Grandia 2. There's a lot of bugs in that version. And I'm actually a huge fan of Grandia 3 on the PlayStation 2 as well. So I'm very excited to actually get to spend some time on Grandia 2 and explore this beautiful universe. And like I say, whenever I buy an RPG, I'm going to explore it, but it's always a matter of finding time, and there's just not enough time to play all these great RPGs. Another system I don't really collect for, and it's actually one of the smallest collections I have, is the N64. However, there are a couple games that have been on my radar that I'm very interested in trying. The first one I picked up in the last little while is actually because I watched an amazing review by the Happy Video Game Nerd, and he reviewed Doom 64. I've always been a big fan of the Doom series. Some of my early memories are from playing computer games, which I didn't play a ton of computer games, were in Doom. And just the amazing, Wolfenstein style that I loved. But then on top of that, you were in this amazing, eerie world. I remember looking out the windows and seeing the mountains off in the distance and fog over them. And while it was extremely pixelated, it just looked so cool. But I haven't played a lot of the consoleized versions of Doom. I've got Doom on the 32X, but I've always heard that Doom on the 64 may be one of the very best versions. So Doom on the 64 plays extremely well. I've had a lot of fun playing it so far. It's really, really dark. That's what I've noticed so far, but you know what? That's okay. I can adjust the brightness on the TV and straighten that out, but hey, Doom 64, a lot of fun so far, but it is your typical Doom game. It's a little bit better than maybe the Super NES version and the 32X version, but it's still Doom. If you're not a fan of Doom, it's not the game for you, but if you are a fan of Doom, one of the best versions to play. As you saw in the opening credits, I picked up one of the biggest games for the N64. This is the one that all the local N64 collectors go nuts about and they talk about all the time. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Unfortunately, as most people know, this didn't work. It worked when I first got it. I plugged it in and cleaned it a little bit and it started working, and I was like, oh, thank goodness, because I got a really good deal on it because the guy who sold it to me was afraid there was something wrong with it. But I cleaned it, it worked, and I was like, oh, this is excellent. Started playing, I noticed a little glitch with the music. Anyways, I turned off my N64, and like I do a lot of times with my N64, I didn't play it for almost a month. So I go to turn it back on, no deal. Not a gig. Nothing on the TV. Cleaned it, did everything I could, nothing. So I ended up taking it down to Netherworld Collectibles because I actually don't have a security bit here. And they took it apart for me and found out that actually the board was cracked. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm absolutely no good with soldering. That's not something I can do. So I thought for sure, you know, I've got a pretty case that I can put on the shelf, but I'll never be able to play this game again. But luckily, there's a local guy here by the name Anthony Griffiths who's just like the wizard when it comes to fixing systems, games, everything like that. I contacted him, I told him what was wrong, cracking the board, I sent him the picture, and he said, yeah, I can definitely fix it for you, man. $10, I'll get that fixed up for you right away. So he took it, he did some rewiring with it, and he fixed the crack. But after he fixed the crack, it still never worked. Most people, after doing the job they were told to do, would just give up and say it was done. But he actually went the extra mile and did some problem solving and actually figured out there was another issue too. Remember I mentioned that the sound was cracking? Well, that's from the crack, but there was also another issue that he fixed, and I had it back, and lucky me, I've got a very great priced Conker's Bad Fur Day. So anybody who's played Conker's Bad Fur Day, or anybody who knows about games on the N64 knows that this is a 3D platformer. But the difference is, it's a 3D platformer of an extremely mature nature. There's a lot of cutscenes, a lot of voiceover work in this game, and it's very, very well done. And not to mention, the gameplay is pretty fun too. It's a really unique game in the fact that it's not straightforward, jump on things, you're given a frying pan which you attack, and it seems like all the fights and all the different things you do, you really have to use the environment around you. So on top of it just being this vulgar game that people are looking for and willing to spend money on, it's a very inventive and interesting game as well. And out of all the stuff on the N64 that's come out, this is one I'm definitely interested in playing because of its uniqueness. So I know I've already showed you some very, very cool games I've picked up, but it doesn't stop there. I've also got some great games for the Super Nintendo. First of which is actually a movie license game. And I'm not a huge fan of movies licensed games. There's not a lot of great ones. But there is one company that makes, in my opinion, pretty good movie license games for the Super Nintendo. And that's Ocean. And I was lucky enough to come across a copy of Lethal Weapon on the Super Nintendo from Ocean. Why I like Ocean so much is they actually made another movie license game called The Addams Family, which I am a huge fan of. I've had it ever since I was a kid and really enjoy it. I enjoy the character styles. And what makes me so happy about this game right away is I can tell they used a very similar character style for Lethal Weapon. It seems like it's going to be a fun game. It's kind of an interesting action platformer. You've got your choices. You can either do a karate kick, shoot your gun, there's power-ups. Looks like some pretty fun platforming, and you know, the character design, like I mentioned, is pretty good. Overall, Lethal Weapon seems like a fun game. I haven't delved into it too far, but not a bad game. It's your typical $5 get for the Super Nintendo that you're really going to enjoy. I would advise you, if you come across Lethal Weapon really, really cheap, definitely pick it up. And hey, for a movie license game, you did okay, Ocean. And of course, I've saved the very best for last. What, Mike? How can you say you've saved the very best for last? We've had Gunstar Heroes, Conker's Bad Fur Day. Well, I got lucky enough that I found a Super Nintendo game that I never ever thought I would have in my collection because the prices are just rocketing on eBay, and locally people are trying to get top dollar for it, and it just never comes up. But lucky enough, I was in the right place at the right time, and I'm going to be honest with you too. I got a message from one of my good friends that works at a game store here. Got a really good price on this, and I'm super excited to have it. Castlevania Dracula X. When I did my top 10 SNES games a little while ago, or top 10 Super Nintendo games, a lot of people were upset that I had Castlevania 4 in the top 5, and I didn't include Castlevania Dracula X. I'm going to be honest with you guys, just because a game is super expensive or super rare doesn't mean that it's a better game. And here's what I mean by this. By no means am I saying that Castlevania Dracula X is a bad game. Really enjoyed it. It's your classic Castlevania gameplay style, and it's got beautiful visuals, it's got amazing gameplay, wicked music. However, I will always look at Dracula X as a very, very poor port of Castlevania Dracula X Rondo of Blood on the PC Engine Super CD. But we don't have the Super CD here, and if you want a North American version of Dracula X outside of the PSP version, the Super Nintendo Dracula X is as close as you're going to get. And it's still a really good game. I don't think there's been many bad Castlevania games. This is a fantastic game and a very cool collector's item. However, it will always be the poor, the poor adopted stepchild, twice removed, that was never wanted, of Rondo of Blood. However, still a fantastic game, and one I am super excited to have in my collection. This is one of the cornerstones of my Super Nintendo collection now. So very excited to have Castlevania Dracula X finally. So guys, that's it. Another month of my pickups. I got some amazing stuff this month. I'm so excited to share with you, and I'm even more excited that when I'm finished doing this video, I'm going to have some time to play them. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Also, thank you very much. I just recently hit 3,000 subscribers, and guys, I'm floored. That's amazing. I can't tell you how cool that is. Thank you very, very much. I truly appreciate it. Anyways, this is Michael B. the Game Genie. See ya. Hey guys, Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'm here to give you a quick collecting tip. This is not a pro tip by any means, but just some common sense, and for people that are just starting out collecting, or people that have been having a hard time because everything seems so expensive, just want to give you some advice. My advice this week is never be afraid to walk away. There's a lot of resellers out there right now, and with the game market being at the utmost top, they're trying to get top dollar for everything they have. So sometimes you gotta be open to say, you know what, not interested, and just walk away. Or if they say, well, this game sells for this much on eBay, say, fine, sell it on eBay. Sometimes you just gotta do that. I'm not saying that these people don't deserve to get paid good amounts for reselling and stuff like that, and a lot of people resell to, you know, fund the collection. But unfortunately, if you want to build a decent sized collection and you don't want to go broke doing it, sometimes you've got to hold out, not get that game right away, and pick it up at a time that you'll get a better price.